All right. Appreciate everyone joining us this morning on our call. Michael McDowell, driver the number 34, loves Travel Stops Mustang, and Arizona native joining us as he gets ready for a home race of sorts this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Michael, we're going to kick it off right with questions. We got them lined up, so we won't waste any time. All right. Let's get started with Marty. Go ahead, Marty.
Thanks there. Hey, Michael, appreciate the time, man. So first off, real quick, I just want to confirm you did not run the test at Phoenix before the year, right?
Yeah, that's right. I did not. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask about the aero package. From what you've seen or heard, what takeaways did you have, or what are you looking forward to this weekend with the new package?
Yeah. So, obviously NASCAR shares some information about the test and what they've learned and some feedback. And, obviously being there and driving the car and having the data would be more helpful. But with, our relationship with Ford and Ford Performance, we're able to, share that information among some of the teams inside the Ford camp, some simulator time coming up tomorrow. But really that 50-minute practice is going to be crucial. You take your, I don't want to say best guess, but you take the numbers that have been presented to you and you try to account for everything, and hopefully you hit the balance right. But the good thing is we do have that practice, and probably more importantly than just a practice is the ability to work on it after the practice. So what I mean by that is on a typical weekend, the cars are impounded, your spring, shock, geometry settings are pretty much set. But on Friday night after practice, we'll be able to change springs, we'll be able to change, suspension, things like that to really maximize everything we can for Saturday. So, looking forward to, getting behind the wheel and with a new package and kind of figuring out what it's going to take to make that work. And then, obviously coming home for Phoenix is fun for me.
You answered my follow-up there perfectly. So something else I want to ask you too, there's been a lot of chatter on social media and on the internet this week on if Chase Elliott should get the waiver to make the playoffs, should he win or make the top 16 in points. We heard the time frame should be 6 weeks, but I know you've only been in the playoffs once, but how do you view it? Should he get a waiver regardless of a recreational incident, or is there a certain limit you believe when it comes to races?
Yeah, I haven't really put much thought into it. I feel like, I haven't really thought about it, but our sport and season is very long. And so I feel like, other sports, NBA, football, baseball, you can have an injury, whether it's in game or not in game, and still be a part of the championship, be a part of the whole season. So I think eliminating somebody, due to an illness or an injury is, for how long our sport is and for how many races we have is probably not the best way of doing it. So I feel like you should get a waiver, and, that's part of it. You can't control everything. I mean, I know everybody has an opinion about, what guys should and shouldn't do, but, you can get injured doing anything. I mean, you look at Daniel Hemrick, he got injured earlier this year with working out, training for, an upcoming race. So I don't treat that any different than if it's a recreational.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Best of luck this weekend.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Thanks, Marty. Let's go to Bob Pockers. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Michael. So do you normally get simulator time, or is this special simulator time because of Phoenix and the changes?
No, we get weekly simulator time. We have our time slot that we use every week, and, Todd and I split it. And, this week Zane and I will split it. So we each get 2 hours and try to maximize everything you can in that 2 hours, and, be ready to go.
And I guess, was there any thought of maybe like using last week's for Phoenix as well, like just to kind of get ahead of it? Or do you just do it, or is always specifically, hey, this is the track we're going to in 2 days type of thing?
Normally you're trying to be a week ahead. We try to stay a week ahead. So yeah, that's part of the plan is, you kind of run through bigger things that you want to try and work through so that your engineers have a week to kind of run those different settings through simulation on, not driving simulation, but the actual simulation behind, the screens. And then you kind of do some fine tuning. So For example, like when I go tomorrow, we'll do some Phoenix, but we'll do some Atlanta too, and we'll run through some of the bigger items for Atlanta, and then run Phoenix and do some fine tuning with the package that we've already landed on from a previous week. So a little bit of both.
And so just finally, will you and Zane probably have different setups at all for the practice on Friday to try different things? Or do you feel like you got to go with what you both feel is best and not try to like do more testing in that combined 50 minutes you have?
Yeah, so we definitely have talked about that the last week and a half, and went through some of that on, Monday and Tuesday, just laying out a plan for this week. And so, not to beat around the question, but each team and engineers and crew chiefs have a little bit different philosophy on how they want to approach things. And so I would say organically, we're sort of showing up different, just based on some things that everybody wants to try. And I think we're probably more comfortable doing that this weekend, knowing that we can punt, so to speak, Friday night and put in whichever package we think is going to be better between the two cars. So we're using it as an opportunity to try a few things, probably a bit more than we would on a normal weekend.
Thanks, Bob. Let's go to Dustin. Hey, Dustin Long.
Hey, thanks. Hey, Michael, I'm curious, kind of continuing with that. You've got a unique situation this weekend where your teammate is somebody that really doesn't have much experience in the car, and Zane, other than Daytona, which is totally different. And Todd, your regular teammate's driving a car that probably not as familiar with, since that's a different team. So you have the benefit of this 50-minute practice session, but who are you relying on, or how much can your teammates help you because of the lack of experience on Zane's part and the new situation for Todd?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it depends on how fast they are. If Zane goes out there and is really quick, and that package that they brought is showing some potential, then I think it'll be really valuable. As far as Todd goes this weekend, obviously with Rick Ware Racing, they have an alliance with Roush Fenway as well, and we do as well. So I don't necessarily think we'll be able to just, get all that information of what he's, working with and has, but there'll be some conversations that take place. But yeah, no, I think that Zane is more than qualified and has done a good job in any situation that he's been in so far. So I think he's still going to have a value to, the team and to the, to the feedback. I mean, race car drivers are race car drivers for sure. Experience helps that when it's leading a overall direction of development. But as far as balance and feel and what he's fighting and what his car's doing, I think it'll be, valuable.
Also, I'm curious, still got a couple more races with the expanded restart zone before NASCAR determines if it'll keep it or not. What has the expanded restart zone been like? Has there been much of a difference from your point of view? Has it made much of an impact, or what more are you interested in seeing, what it might be like at a short track this week?
Yeah. So I think that, obviously it had an impact at California just because we all stacked up. I don't necessarily put the blame on NASCAR or the restart zone on that, because, drivers are just trying to maximize that gap too much and trying to time that run. And so your timing is just a little bit off because the zone's larger. I think if you, just go back to Vegas, the restarts were pretty clean and tidy, and the restarts can be messy there at times too. So I didn't think it would take long for us to kind of get it sorted out of what everybody has to do. And, I wasn't a, real opinionated about one way or another when they were talking about this and having the discussion. But I do know for the leader, it's important for the leader that's worked hard to get the lead, or, whether it's pit crew on pit road that got him out in the lead, to have some sort of advantage. And this definitely helps increase that advantage to the leader. And so I'm okay with it as long as we don't stack up like we did at California every week. I think it'll be fine.
Thank you.
Yep.
Trey Downey, MRN. Go ahead. You're up.
Hey, Michael, want to look ahead to the next couple weeks. We've had a full year of super speedway racing in this next gen car and 2 full races at Atlanta. Going into Atlanta, do you have kind of the same mindset and view going into those weeks as you do going into Daytona or Talladega, or is it still kind of its own thing?
I think it's definitely its own thing. You know, both the races there have not been what I would call a traditional super speedway feel and approach. It's more that direction, but I feel like it's pretty unique to what it is and how you race it and how you approach it, and even car builds and specs and stuff like that. So I feel like it's still pretty unique, and but I enjoyed it. I mean, I know everybody would love to keep the old Atlanta, and I'm in that camp as well, but I'm pretty excited about there being a different style of racetrack and racing. You know, it kind of gets us outside of our box a little bit.
And then going to COTA, we've got the new aero package debuting this weekend, and we kind of know what's expected in terms of how it's going to change the racing on the short track type places. Do you have an idea of how you expect the new package to change once we get to a road course in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, so I don't think it's going to change it much. You know, I think obviously it's going to have less downforce, as we all know, which, you know, the cars will probably move around a little bit more, maybe not be as easy to drive, but you know, I really don't think it's going to be a pendulum swinger of, you know, what you're going to see as far as overall race and or, you know, different teams or different drivers excel now on the road course because they're less downforce. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to move the needle a whole lot. But, you know, there's a lot more to all that than, you know, everybody probably thinks about. You know, obviously, the teams want to have one package so that they're not changing a bunch of cars, parts, having to spend time in the wind tunnel, running different packages, different configurations. You know, you spend a lot of time, a lot of money, and engineers are spending hours and hours and hours trying to figure out what do you have to do different with this package versus the other. So I think we're seeing, you know, these packages be a little bit broader across all short tracks and all road courses and with the rain package and all that, just to help not have what we had with the old car, which was like 5 or 6 different builds of cars, parts, pieces, chassis, everything you had to do to take a super speedway car versus a road course car versus a short track car. So I think it's just to keep it a bit simple and try to keep the cost down, but I don't see it being a huge, you know, huge change for those road courses.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, Trey, let's go to Stephen Toronto. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, Michael, I was wondering how things have been going working with Travis Peterson so far. It's, you know, small sample size. We're only 3 weeks into the season, but it seemed like the strategy call that he made to get you out front in Fontana was really the first impression he was able to make, you know, on us that we could see from the outside. So what has it been like from the inside so far?
Yeah, Travis done a great job. You know, he's very motivated and high energy, and you know, is ready to get after it, which is great. You know, I don't think our results have shown where we're at. You know, I feel like, you know, Daytona, we had speed, car was good. We ended up crashing there with, you know, a little less than 20 to go. California, I thought he did a great job with the strategy. Really, you know, there was not a lot of downside to that strategy. I mean, we did run out of gas on that last lap, which we knew we'd be close. But we ended up netting about the same as what we would have if we would have pitted there as far as where we were running position wise. But it gave us a tremendous opportunity for those, you know, 30 laps to, if we were to catch a caution, you know, to be up front and be able to take 4 tires and have a shot at winning. So, you know, I think what we saw last year with the playoffs and, you know, how many drivers won throughout the season, you have to be thinking about winning races, you know, constantly. And if you don't quite have the pace to do it outright, you gotta be creative strategy wise. So I think he did a good job with that. And so, yeah, I've been impressed. He's done good. He's a good leader. The guys like him. We got a lot of new people on the 34 car this year, and he's done a good job of assembling that group and getting everybody up to speed. And I think that, you know, he's helped implement some new processes at the shop that we might not be seeing the fruit of right now, but I think when we get into the summer and you get into the grind of it, some of those new processes that we put in place should help us be more consistent and run stronger throughout the year. So yeah, I've been happy with where our group's at, and not happy with the results that we've had, but I've been pretty pleased with the potential in our race cars. So now we just gotta put all the little pieces together and maximize it.
You mentioned your results last year, and when I look back at last year, you kind of went through a lean period until, I would say, Bristol Dirt in April, when you really started to turn it on and have a lot more top tens to that point. Are you projecting kind of that same timeline this year, or are you working toward maybe, flipping that switch a little earlier?
Yeah, I mean, you would like to. I've already flipped the switch. But you have to have some reality. And our program last year and our program this year, it's the spotter and I are the only two people left on the 34 car from last year. That's how many new people we have, and that's not an exaggeration. From car chief, crew chief, front end mechanic, underneath mechanic, interior guy, tire guy, every single truck driver, every single person on our race team for the most part is brand new this year to the 34 group. So we knew that it's going to take some time before we do the details and execute perfectly. All new guys on pit road as well. So there's so much going on right now that I'm really impressed with how well our cars have performed and what we have been able to do with just the preparation of our cars and speed. So I do feel like, we're still a few weeks away from being able to hit on, all 8 cylinders, but we're getting close, and I feel confident we'll be able to, achieve more than we did last year. And so, I'm looking forward to it.
Gotcha. Thank you, Michael.
All right, Michael, we got 2 more in the queue here.
Okay.
So let's go to Dr. Zoltan. Go ahead, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Hey, Michael, there are some rumors about maybe someday Goodyear might come up with groove tires. Do you think it is the right thing to do? What's your opinion about this?
Grooved as in like intermediate tires for ovals, or just in general groove tires?
Just in general. I mean, Denny Hamlin mentioned it in his podcast that it might be a good idea so that the cars will be more out of control and it would reduce grip. So it can solve the issues we have seen last year on road courses and on short tracks.
Yeah. No, I hadn't heard that. I haven't seen one of those podcasts yet. So I wasn't up to speed on that, but I haven't heard any rumors of that. And, I think that everybody has an opinion about the racing and what they think needs to happen. And I think that drivers in general are extremely selfish, and you have to be selfish to be successful in this sport. And, the guys that are and have consistently won races that maybe struggled a little bit last year, they don't like it. And I get it, and I understand it. I'm on the other side of the fence of, I went from struggling to running pretty good in this new car. I don't want to change anything. But ultimately, it's not about how we feel about it, or, as a driver, how it's helped our performance, but overall, the product, the results, the racing, and fans tuning in. So that's way out of my pay grade, so I don't worry about that stuff. But I'd like to keep everything the same just because it suited me well.
All right, thank you very much. And can you explain to me how do you spend an average weekday?
Well, we'll just go with today, since today's an average day, right? Up and took my family to breakfast, and came back home and got ready and did a couple interviews, and I'm headed to NASCAR studios now to do the Pace Lap, one of the TV shows that they do there, record that. And while I'm there, my kids are on spring break, so I'm going to take them to the NASCAR Hall of Fame, since it's right there in the same area, and jumping on the simulator.
I mean, this could be pretty interesting.
We're gonna take up half the facility with this man.
All right, let's finish it out with Brian Mino. Hey, Brian, go ahead.
Thank you. Hello, Michael. Brian Mino for Victory Lane Network, Argentina. My question are two. First question, what expectation do you have for this weekend in Phoenix with the new package in short track?
Yeah, so my expectation, it's a hometown race for me, and it's a place that we've really struggled the last few years. So I'm hopeful that this new package will kind of help fill that gap for us and that we hit it just right. But like I said before, I didn't get to do the test, and so I'm excited and curious, just like everybody else, to see what they drive like and feel like, and you get an idea on paper of how much downforce they took off, and they kind of tell you what that number is. But until you feel it out on the racetrack, it's hard to quantify what that's going to be like. But I'm hopeful, just like everybody else, that it'll kind of help improve the passing opportunities, and the cars will slide around a little bit more, and hopefully there'll be a little bit of tire fall off as well. So, I think that last year this package was mile and a half, big tracks. I thought the racing was great. Obviously, short tracks were not quite what everybody hoped for. So I think NASCAR's taking a stab at it, and hopefully we hit it, and the package is a little bit better.
Last question, what a racetrack do you think you will have a chance of getting a victory?
I think the road courses this year will be a good opportunity for us to win. I think last year we kind of showed that we had the speed, and finished third at Sonoma and a bunch of top tens throughout the year, and ran up front and qualified up front. Watkins Glen, I feel like we had a shot to win that race as well. And so I think the road courses for sure are opportunities. I think Atlanta coming up as well, and super speedways are always an opportunity. So we'll see. I think that the last 2 years our chances have increased by adding tracks that are not adding tracks, but us running better at certain tracks, and so you just never know. I think with this next gen car, if you hit it right and you do everything perfect, that you have an opportunity pretty much every weekend. But I think the best opportunities are going to be the road courses and super speedways.
Michael, thank you and good luck in Phoenix, my friend.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Well, Michael, a busy day. Appreciate you stopping by and joining us for 20 minutes or so, and best of luck this weekend at home.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Bye-bye.
All right, everyone. Appreciate you joining us. We'll work up a transcript and get that out here in a little bit. And everybody travel safe.